Russia's now talking to Iraq. They're going to do some bombing and of ISIS, which, frankly, I think is a great thing. Let Russia bomb ISIS. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? They want to bomb them. Let them bomb them. Bomb the hell out of them. No, bomb them.
GOP frontrunner Donald Trump doubling down on what he told us about Russia right here on Cashin last week. He thinks it's better to let them, Russia, fight ISIS. But I wonder what the Donald would think about this news. Russian smugglers busted for stopping nuclear material to extremists, selling it, trying to give it to them and sell it to them. So can we really trust Russia to lead the fight, or will it come back to bite us? Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Bolling. Welcome to Cashin, our Cashin crew this week. Jonathan Honig, Michelle Fields, and Jessica Tarlov. Welcome, everybody. Well, in addition to the smugglers, Iraq is now reportedly asking Russia for help against the terror group, too. Now, Jonathan, is Russia's involvement going to help us or cost us more lives than money?
Eric, nothing that we deal with Russia can be of help. I mean, we're in bed now. We form these coalitions with Russia, with Iran, with Saudi Arabia. I mean, these are totalitarian states. Saudi Arabia is a state where you can get executed for being an atheist. So it's almost like we've collectivized American self-defense, depending on Russia, depending on Saudi Arabia. Look, if we wanted to defeat ISIS, we could do it in 2 days. We have the fortitude. We have the military fortitude. But instead, we depend on all these coalitions to degrade and ultimately destroy. So the big loser here is America, because it destroys our pride and destroys our self-esteem.
Well, let me stay with you for a second. Are you okay with Russia taking care of ISIS, at least in Syria? Maybe not necessarily Iraq, but at least in Syria?
We're the loser, Eric. Again, I mean, if it's a moral threat to us, if it's a natural threat to us, why do we have to outsource it to Russia, a country which we know we can't depend on, we know we can't trust? But that's our American foreign policy these days, is love thy enemy instead of destroy them first.
Michelle, let's take it one step further. Okay, so the water's under the bridge. President Obama decided to lead from behind, and Syria is a mess. The Middle East is a mess. Going forward, should we be doing the work in Syria that Russia is doing, or should we let them do it?
Well, look, I think it's very concerning to think that Putin is on our side. Putin is not interested in helping us. Putin is interested in expanding his military power and his influence in the region. Donald Trump is wrong. Russia is not trying to destroy ISIS. If you look at the very first strike that Russia made, it was actually in an area where our allies are. He's not interested in destroying ISIS. He's interested in making sure that Assad has power. That's all it is, but he's not on our side. And I think it's a very dangerous notion to think that he is on our side and trying to go after ISIS, because he isn't.
I'm going to push back on both of those, Jessica, and I'm going to both of our wonderful contributors.
So you're the extra liberal this week?
No, I don't think I'm going to be liberal. I think I'm going to be more a libertarian in this, and saying I'm not sure where I am on this politically. Here's where I am, though, logically. Let them fight it. Let them fight it out. Let Russia wants to fight ISIS. That's fantastic, because right now, we don't know who our enemies are in Syria and who our friends are in Syria. Is it the Free Syrian Army? I'm not sure. Definitely know we don't like ISIS. Apparently, we don't like Assad as well. I'm confused. So let Russia risk their lives and treasure.
Well, it's a great thought if we knew that Russia was actually going to go after ISIS. As Michelle said, they've targeted American-backed rebels thus far. We haven't seen any action in terms of combating ISIS. And we know that Russia likes it best when the world is upside down, when they're creating the chaos, and when the U.S. is on the back foot. I think really that we could have known that we were going to be moving towards this state of complete disarray when Putin illegally annexed Crimea last year, and we all but ignored it. I mean, they have troops in Ukraine. We ignore it because they say that they're not there, but the facts are there. We know that the Russians are dying every day across the border in eastern Ukraine, and we do nothing about it.
Let's stay here, John. I'm not suggesting Vladimir Putin is our friend or we should trust him. I'm simply saying if he wants to do it, knock yourself out.
Well, I mean, Eric, I can understand why there's confusion. I mean, this policy, I think, both, frankly, from potentially Donald Trump and certainly from Obama, is incoherent. There's no wars declared. There's no moral judgment passed on anyone. So, Iran is kind of our enemy, but kind of our friend. Russia, kind of our enemy, kind of our friend. I think if you ask most Americans right now, they'd say, I don't know who we're fighting and why. And that's put on the administration's feet.
We have lots of frenemies.
Well, no. Come on, guys. That's not fair. No, Iran is not our friend. It's not kind of our friend, not a friend at all.
But
nor is Russia
but we do
our
a deal
friend.
with them.
These people are not our friends. But It doesn't mean we should take the ball, push them out, and say we got the Middle East. Should we?
We're willing to give them a great deal, which is what we did. And look, you know, you talk about that. You know, Russia maybe should do this, that we should just get out of it. But the problem is the idea of what we're giving the rest of the world, what we're showing China, is that we don't care. We don't. If we have red lines, we don't care if anyone crosses them. President Obama doesn't care if Putin wants to take over this region.
Stay there,
we
Michelle.
should be marginalizing Iran and Russia, and we're not.
Can I be really cold and callous right now?
Yeah.
Should Americans risk our children, risk our livelihoods, risk our economy, risk our money for a civil war going on in Syria? What's in it for us to risk all that?
Okay, first off, we are being humiliated. And second, ISIS is a threat to us. It's not as if this is something far away that doesn't have anything to do with us. ISIS wants to come after us and destroy us. And Russia does not care. Russia doesn't have to deal with the threat of ISIS the way that we do. So it is a threat to us, and it is part of it should be our concern.
Jess,
Yeah.
ISIS, I agree. ISIS is our enemy. We should be fighting
absolutely.
ISIS. I'm not suggesting we go easy on ISIS. I'm saying there are other ways to fight ISIS. Can we do this full screen? Look what came out this week, late this week. We trained $500 million we spent training Syrian fighters, jihadists, whatever, our side guys. You know how many we got for that $500 million, Jess?
Five.
I
I know.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It's disappointing. Yeah, I can count
$100
too.
million per fighter.
I understand. It's incredibly disappointing. We are being humiliated on the world stage, but it doesn't mean that all hope is not lost. I'm not saying that we should go into Syria, but there are things that we can do, like increase our presence in Eastern Europe. We can bolster the Baltic states. We can say to China, Michelle was completely correct to bring that up, that what they're doing in the South China Sea is completely inappropriate, and to build up our maritime patrol force there. Jonathan, what? You can't just go and bomb everything. It doesn't work as a strategy.
No,
because they're everywhere. They're an infection.
Just because you're wrong.
ISIS. I am not wrong, Jonathan.
Then destroy them everywhere. Listen, the only reason, if you're going to fight a war, you fight a total war. We've talked about that for literally over a year in this show. If you want, the only reason to start a war is to end it. So the idea of like it's a chemistry strat, pour a little bit over here, eventually the tumor will go away. It's absolutely wrong.
I'm not saying that the strategy has worked out, but what do you do about the fact that we hear every day that there are ISIS fighters in new countries, that they're within our borders? What are you going to bomb in New Jersey? There are ISIS.
Well, you declare war and you fight
half measures.
John.
Michelle, you're advocating for this?
John, let's get John. Go ahead, John.
Well, that's it. I mean, this whole idea of a half war, a kind of war. I mean, if we're serious about destroying militant Islam, then we should get serious about it and do it wholeheartedly. But to depend on our friends Iran and our friends
John, that's
Saudi Arabia,
a vague statement. We should do it wholeheartedly. How? As Jessica points out, you want to drop bombs in Iraq, you want to drop bombs in Syria, you want to drop bombs in Iran.
We've talked
You're
about
going to be dropping bombs in Iran. You're going to be dropping bombs in some places where bombs might start coming back at us.
Well, coming back at us, I don't really understand, Eric. I mean, for example, if we level, ISIS's headquarters, if we level Raqqa, if we actually show the enemy that we mean business, believe me, they won't come back at us.
Okay.
But we're too scared. We're too scared to put our own self-defense out there first and foremost.
Okay, fair enough. Michelle, your thoughts?
Look, I think that, like I mentioned, we have a bunch of half measures right now. The president is far too cautious. Either don't do anything or do something. There's no point in just having a half measure and wasting a bunch of money for something that's not going to work. So we need a plan, and we need to stick to it, not have this, like, half plans.
All right, we're going to leave it right there. Folks, some awesome news. Last week, Cashin was the top-rated show in all of cable news all weekend long, all shows, all networks, according to Nielsen. Thank you for being a loyal and engaged View crew. Weigh in on Facebook and Twitter, because I read thousands and thousands of your comments and tweets, and I take cues from you as to what you want to see and what you want debated right here. Don't forget our popular hashtag #WakeUpAmerica on all your comments and tweets. But coming up, if you want to get it done and done right on time, you got to work full time. As Kevin McCarthy drops out of the speaker race and chaos grows within the GOP, one lawmaker is pushing a 40-hour work week for Congress to fix this mess, but will that work?